Getting ready for week 6, taking a look at the games we've got on the NFL on the CBS. Patriots at Saints. The Pats coming off their big upset win over the Bills. Chargers, Dolphins. Chris, I don't think I have seen a more dejected coach than Mike McDaniel.
Poor guy.
After last week. From like him walking in the tunnel to his press conference. It was so bad. How about this one? 49ers at Bucks. This one's really interesting. You have two 4-1 teams. Of course, you got the 49ers coming off their big win over the Rams. They were, like a 8.5-point underdog. That was a phenomenal game in overtime. They went ahead to win it. We're going to talk more about that game with Pete and Lige here in just a second. How about that guy there, Mac Jones?
MVP candidate,
putting
Mac
on
Jones.
a show. On the other side, it will be Baker Mayfield. Let's hear a little bit more from him.
I told you guys that I try and not get too high, not get too low, which is something that I was not doing early on in my career. But, early on in my career, it's looked as cocky, immature. Now it's moxie, he's a dog. So it's same, different day. Just as long as you play well, they change the narrative. But you just got to be yourself, and I've always been like that.
Welcome back in, Pete Prisco, Lige Douzable. Pete, you and I have always said Baker is moxie and he's a dog. I remember one thing he said about going to the Bucs, and they told him, you don't have to be our franchise guy. We just want you to be yourself. And that has seemed to work for him at the Bucs. What do you think about him moving up in the ranks when it comes to a potential MVP candidate?
Oh, I think he's the leader in the clubhouse right now. I think
Over
he's the
Josh
MVP.
Allen?
If I had to pick the MVP, yes, I think he's the MVP right now. And I have a vote, and if I had to vote right now, I would vote for Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield has been outstanding. He's carried a team that has been decimated by injuries on the offensive side of the football. First couple of weeks, didn't play with one guy on the offensive line who was expected to start in the same position he played. They had so many injuries. Then you go to the receivers. Mike Evans out of the lineup now. Bucky Irvin, the running back, out of the lineup now. You hadn't had Jalen McMillan. I mean, Chris Godwin missed time. And all he does is put up big numbers. And to me, he's brought this team back 4 times to win games. That's enough for me to make him the MVP. I love what he's doing. And by the way, I truly enjoyed him giving that fan crap in the tunnel. That's vintage Baker Mayfield, and it's right up my alley. I loved every bit of it.
Yeah, Pete, I love the maturation of Baker Mayfield. He even spoke about it in a press conference. It's funny how things work when you're winning, right? When you're losing, it's, you're being a little bit too cocky and arrogant, but now that you're winning, it's moxie. And the one thing we know about him, he's always been a fierce competitor. He wears, his emotions on his sleeve. And I feel like the Bucs have really galvanized around that. Like, he's one of the guys in that locker room. You can tell those guys are willing to go to war with him every single day and lay it on the line. I don't have him as my number 1 guy in the MVP race. I have Jared Goff, but he's right there behind him because of what Pete talked about. No matter how many injuries they have, if Baker Mayfield gets the ball at the end and his team is down and he has an opportunity to win the game, you're most likely losing that game. I remember going back to his record on Monday Night Football. It was abysmal, Pete. This year, versus the Texans, he put that team on his back and led them down to win that game with being decimated by so many injuries. So I love the maturation I've seen from Baker Mayfield this year.
Lige, he wouldn't be your number 1. Would he be in your top 3, top 5? Is he up there at least?
He's right behind Jared Goff. He's right behind Jared Goff. He's number 2 on my list.
All right. Pete, before we got into this, Chris was just raving about how much you love Mac Jones. I don't know if that's true or not. For the 49ers, look, they were able to get that crucial win there. We've seen Mac Jones be able to carry this team under Kyle Shanahan, and so much of that credit is to the coach there. If you had to pick between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy to lead this team, who would it be?
Are you serious?
I knew he was going to say that.
Come on, are you kidding me? It's not even
our
close.
Producer just wants to ask these questions. He tells me what to ask.
I know,
we can put this on him, Producer Noah.
Yeah, Noah's misguided too. Give me a break. It's not even close. Mac Jones is a backup quarterback in the National Football League, and Brock Purdy's a starting quarterback who can make plays. One drives the ball down the field, the other one dinks and dunks his way down the field. They're 2 different styles of quarterback. And I'll give Kyle Shanahan credit for turning Mac Jones into a productive player last week. Is it sustainable? That's the question. The answer to that is probably no. That's why he's a backup quarterback in the NFL. Did anybody watch him last year in Jacksonville? He was awful. I mean, he was just a bad quarterback. Now, the coaching wasn't very good. It hasn't been great at his time in New England either. But The bottom line is Brock Purdy can legitimately throw the ball down the field, and Mac Jones is a dinker and a dunker.
Lige, one, do you agree? And two, how much does it matter about the talent of the quarterback when you have Kyle Shanahan, who's just Harry Pottering it all over the place and is just a little wizard?
Yeah, I agree. It's ridiculous. Like, this has been 3 games for Mac Jones. He has looked well, but Brock Purdy took you to the Super Bowl just 2 years ago. Like, now, the one thing I will say, Pete, we have to give a shout out, and I love that question, Amanda, to Kyle Shanahan, because he essentially changed the schematics of the offense for Mac Jones. You talked about it, Pete. They're more of a dink and dunk, matriculate the ball down the field. And when you do that, a lot of times you have mistakes, right? Either holding penalties, false starts that either knock you back and throws off the rhythm of the offense. They've been able to execute with so many different new pieces at a high level with Mac Jones at quarterback. So it's always interesting, right, when people talk about this quarterback conversation with Kyle Shanahan, because Jimmy Garoppolo came in, right? Then it was Brock Purdy. Now it's Mac Jones. So people are going to continue to say, is it the quarterback or the system? I felt at times 2 years ago Brock Purdy did elevate that team, but yet this is not even a question. This is Brock Purdy's team. To Pete's point, the offense opens up more down the field with Brock Purdy at quarterback, but you have to give a kudos to Mac Jones because of all the injuries that they have had. He still is 3-0 this year.
I love the way you glossed over the fact that Trey Lance didn't quite work. I mean, how bad is Trey Lance if Kyle Shanahan can't make him work, right? I mean, they traded up to go get him, the guy he really wanted, and he never worked. So that was a big miss.
Well, I would say to that point, it proves how good a coach Kyle Shanahan is, because obviously I finished my career there. I know a lot of people in that building, and I remember that Kyle had to go to ownership and tell them, like, yeah, we traded up for Trey, but the guy that we took in the 7th round is probably better than both of the other quarterbacks that we had here. So usually when a coach tells a ownership person that, they're scratching their heads because they're like, you told us to give up all this draft capital to go get this guy. So to me, it proves that Kyle Shanahan is one of the better coaches in the NFL, because most regimes, everybody would have been fired if it didn't work out when you trade that much draft capital for a quarterback. But because he was able to get Brock Purdy to play at such a high level, it glossed over the fact that they gave up all that draft capital.
So give me a preview of this game, because we have on one side, we have the guy who would be Pete's vote for MVP and Baker Mayfield. They're 4-1. You get the 49ers, who are a different 4-1. It does not look like Brock Purdy is going to play. We are going to get Mac Jones. Pete, what do you think happens in this game?
I don't think the 49ers rush the passer well enough to really impact Baker Mayfield. They ever since Nick Bosa went down, they got to try and manufacture pass rush. They got a lot of young guys. They're not good enough up front. And getting Tristan Wirfs back is enormous for the Bucs. So I don't think they're going to be able to pressure him. And when you play the Bucs, one thing about the defensive side, they're going to come after you and they're going to blitz you. And that's where, Mac Jones is going to have to make plays against the blitz. But in the end, I think the offense of the Bucs right now is just cooking. And I think they're going to continue to roll up big numbers. Baker Mayfield's going to continue to roll up big numbers. I think the 49ers aren't good enough on defense to stop them.
Yeah, my question mark for the 49ers, even with the draft that they had with the defensive linemen, were, did they fit the system, right? That aggressive style, get up the field, create havoc system. They got guys that can stop the run, but where's the pass rush? Even with Nick Bosa, Pete, that was my concern for this team going into the season. Now they trade for Bryce Huff, and he showed big in week 2, getting that sack to end the game versus New Orleans Saints. But to your point, they have been abysmal getting after the quarterback. And if you let Baker Mayfield sit back there with his pass catchers, he's going to put 400 yards up on you. So I'm taking the Bucs in this game. I like them to cover the 3.5. Also, it seems like the Bucs are getting healthy at the right time where the 49ers aren't. Give me the Bucs in this game.
Lige, I appreciate it. Pete Prisco, president of the Baker Mayfield fan club, I appreciate that as well. You guys have a good rest of the day. We'll talk to you soon.